Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Hey, everything on three. Number three. One on one. Oh. One on three. 1, 2, 3. Hey, next up from that. Eyes on three. Everything on three. One. Everything.
You are now listening to the Fantasy Football Bros Podcast.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Fantasy Football Bros Podcast. It's your boy, no matter what, Chaz, and of course, the champ is here, y'all. More and more weeks of this, and I got all the drops right today so far. So that's
so far.
Thank you for joining us, everybody. We'll see you next time. All right. And to my virtual left, we got the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Jay Coleman. Jay Coleman, what's up, dog?
What's up, guys?
And speaking of what's up, dog, who are those two behind you?
The lighter colored one is Fiona, and the darker one is Daisy.
Fiona and Daisy, and just on cue, somebody's jealous. Somebody knows.
Yeah, another animal's getting screen time.
Because we're joined by Pickles. All right, Pickles is here as well. Oh, she just gave me a nuzz. All right, and over there to my virtual right, we got the no nickname, no nonsense.
It doesn't matter. What's going on, guys?
Adam Van Hound. What's going on, Adam?
What's happening? What's happening? What's happening?
And again, for the second consecutive week, if not third, we're joined by the fantasy football surgeon.
Like a surgeon.
From the Let's Talk Nerdy podcast, we got Zags. What's up, dude?
What's up, boys? How's it going?
Okay, get out of here, Pickles.
That was a lot of pickles. That was a lot. Pickles stole the show there. What is up, boys?
She usually does.
She knows when I'm like.
She hears Jay's voice and is like, "Where's Jay? I need to sit on his lap."
Yeah.
That's usually how it goes.
Is everyone, Adam, are you hearing the drops? Is everyone hearing the drops?
Yeah, I was now. At the beginning, we couldn't really
I didn't hear him at first because it was all like choppy. I don't know what happened, but
they're good now. You got them now.
That one was good. Yeah.
We'll fix these later with the help of Dave. By the way, Adam, I got on your train from your
dude. I told you. Are they not good?
I have got the Beast Unleashed Peach.
Is that the peach one? Yes.
The monster.
I got a little liquor drink today. Little vodka and peach iced tea today.
Danger, Will Robinson. Danger.
I don't have any beer.
And then you guys got water, right? As usual.
As usual.
Nothing wrong with that. We promote safe drinking here. You guys got a long drive. Got to drive safe from your comfort.
Yeah. I gotta drive from one room to the other.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh man, these are freaking good.
Right? I told you. Thank you.
Even though they're not caffeine, it tastes just like Monster. So
it does.
I think that hypes me up.
That's why I like them so much. Is I love Monster. I'm a big Monster drinker. The taste of those was just mind blowing. I couldn't believe. I thought I was drinking a Monster. I really was. No caffeine, no energy. You don't get the hyperness of the energy drink, but no sugar as well. So
we'll talk more about energy drinks at a later point in life once we might have a sponsor, Dave. I didn't even mention that. So
really? Is it classic Red Bull? Because I love me a classic Red Bull.
No, it's not. It's okay. We got approved for a sponsor. I'm not going to say anything yet because I am not just a corporate shill. We're going to get the energy drink in and I'm going to try it. And if it's good, I will accept the sponsor because I'm not going to promote something gross.
Let's go. Let's go.
Right. So,
dude, I love me that first sip of a Red Bull when it's like, is this battery acid? And you're just like, that's so delicious.
Well, we better not be saying that about our new sponsor if that comes.
I had too many vodka Red Bulls back in my day, and I cannot stand the regular Red Bull.
Back in my day, when I was
in the day,
when we were in
one too many cherry bombs.
When we were in Nashville for the Bills game with country music superstar Eric Van Houten, I was living off of grape vodka and Red Bull. Like it was just a rough night.
Oof.
It was a rough.
That sounds like a rough night.
It was a rough. That's the day Eric played, and then you were like,
"Yeah,
Chaz, go,
bro." Was that the first? Was that the first night? or the
That
first year, 2019, right before
No,
COVID,
it was
or
21.
was that 2021?
It was 21. So well, we're gonna be doing that more for sure. Okay, so we got some news to talk about. We had some. Where is it? Hang on, wait for it. DeAndre Hopkins, man, what a bad choice. I think. Like
Yeah,
for his career, like he wants to win. I want to win. I want to win. I want to go to a
they
team.
all say they want to win.
Here is his wish list. I want to go to a team that's gonna win. And to fair enough, they were one game away from winning the division last year, and they won the division 3 years before that. So fair enough. And go to a team with a good quarterback. So there's a mistake there because they have two mediocre above one horrible quarterback, one above average, and who knows with Will Levis yet. So like Dave, you are the self-proclaimed D-Hop simp. So how you feel now about this?
Would I have loved to see DeAndre Hopkins catching balls from like Josh Allen or Pat Mahomes? Like obviously, the choice of possibly Tannehill is it. I mean, it makes sense for his pocketbooks, but like you said, it obviously doesn't make sense for like his career in the long term. With that being said, I still think that DeAndre Hopkins will be fantasy relevant this season. I mean, we were
spin zone right here.
Well,
I mean, we like before the whole AJ Brown, it moved to Philly where he blows up. I mean, people were excited about AJ Brown for a long time. I mean, AJ Brown was a sometimes second, third round wide receiver, and it's not completely out of the question to say that DeAndre Hopkins isn't going to put up similar numbers to what he's done with Kyler Murray. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, there's an upgrade from Ryan Tannehill to Kyler Murray, but like how really like a lot? Is it a big upgrade? I don't think it is.
I don't.
oh man, I definitely don't think it's a massive upgrade.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's a massive upgrade.
I don't think it's an upgrade from Murray to Tannehill at all. I don't know. It's tough because I agree with Chaz. They have won. They were right there in the in the playoff hunt last season, and they have made the playoffs in the last 3-4 years or whatever it was. And it was solely maybe on the back of Derrick Henry, but they made it nonetheless. And we all know when they beat the Patriots in the first round a couple of years ago, that was music. That was music to our ears hearing that. But I don't disagree that Hopkins is going to be. He's not going to be a fantasy dud, right? He's going to be. It's DeAndre Hopkins. He's
Right.
one of your guys, right? They always say that, when you're playing fantasy, you play your studs, right? He's still a stud, regardless of what's going on. Those are your guys. But right now, for quarterback for the Titans, Tannehill might get it done. We might see Will Levis in 8 games, maybe.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Tannehill could be fired by week 5.
Yeah, but I think it's better if for D-Hop, I think it's better if Tannehill is the quarterback.
I agree there.
Yeah,
absolutely.
probably.
Because the rookie is going to have a hard time. Malik Willis is actually the worst quarterback I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, and might not even be on the team come start of the season. So
Tannehill, though, like Dave said, there was some love with AJ Brown. There was that one year Tannehill did really good when they had AJ Brown and Corey Davis. So like Tannehill can do it. The problem we worry about is this team going to go, yes, we got DeAndre Hopkins. Calm down there, Derrick Henry. We're only going to run the ball 250 times and unleash Ryan Tannehill. I don't think that's going to happen. So I just don't think that, like,
I mean, 250 times. That's still a lot of touches for a running back.
Well, that's the thing.
That's down from the 400 that he usually gets, but
like that. But that's
250
the thing.
is right up there.
It's like, and you got to like remember that like people were drafting D-Hop last year, 5th, 6th round, with the dude guaranteeing missing 6 games. So like, if he's still going there, 5th, 6th round in like the full team, with the full season, no matter whom his quarterback is, because you're right, Ryan Tannehill could be an upgrade over Kyler, but they're pretty similar. It could be a thing, but like at the same point, you just need to worry that the team is going to be running the ball a lot, and AJ Brown. See, I'm all confused. And then Nuke doesn't produce where he should, and he's going to get bumped up no matter what. But I can't see taking Nuke in the 3rd round or above. I just can't.
So signing Hopkins, what does that say for Treylon Burks now?
I think it's fine. I don't think it changes him. I mean, he's the young
I
guy.
don't think. Yeah, he's young, but I agree. I don't think it changes all that much. I think he just has the same production he had the last season,
which wasn't very good.
It wasn't very good. You're right.
He was also,
but Tannehill wasn't very good, and Willis was even worse. And I think Burks had maybe one or two good games in there.
Well,
I'm still holding out hope for Burks, but
I'm interested to see what Dave is going to do when it comes time for wide receiver ranking, where he's going to.
Where does Hopkins rank?
I will say that I think this is probably, from a fantasy standpoint, it's kind of up in the air, right? And I talk about this all the time, is like when I draft, I really want to know what I'm getting until we get to certain rounds, and then I'm willing to roll the dice. And I think a lot of people are going to be down on DeAndre Hopkins this year because of the current situation. And I think because of that, you're going to be able to finally get him at a significant decrease in value, aside from last year where he was going to miss 6 games. And like Chaz said, he was still going 4th and 5th round. I mean, like, if I can grab DeAndre Hopkins in the 4th round as my wide receiver 2, because people are kind of down on the Ryan Tannehill situation, and he ends up being DeAndre Hopkins, I mean, that could be a game changer. So I don't know. I'll temper my expectations a little bit, but if DeAndre Hopkins ends up being DeAndre Hopkins, I think you're gonna whoever drafts him this year is gonna look at that play and be like, dang, I got DeAndre Hopkins like in the 5th round. Like, that's crazy. You know what I mean?
I drafted Hop.
Yeah, he was.
So go ahead, Jess.
I was gonna say he was nasty last year. He
was
when he came back.
Yeah, I drafted him in the 9th round in one of my leagues.
Yeah. So and
I mean, the value there was awesome.
Right? Yeah. So like, I'm in a keeper league, and last year I drafted DeAndre Hopkins in the 8th round. So
that's excellent value.
Right.
In the 8th round.
Yeah,
that's 100% my keeper right there.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm saying, like, if I could get him in the 4th, like even maybe early in the 5th, like DeAndre Hopkins is off the board. I gotta take him, and I understand the situation. And
if you already have him for an 8th, though, I wouldn't even take the chance.
No, I mean, like in a redraft league. I'm talking. If you're in redraft leagues, like I mean, if DeAndre Hopkins is sitting there at the end of the 4th round, maybe the early 5th, like I gotta take him. I just gotta do it regardless of the situation. He's still DeAndre Hopkins.
Yeah, that's probably a fair assessment of Hopkins in that range. Like Chaz said, they did win. They still have won games, and we always say it on the pod: got to throw the ball somewhere, and you might as well throw it to your best wide receiver. So,
yep,
we'll see what happens.
The Titans, do they have to throw the ball?
No.
I mean,
but
the Titans almost beat KC last year with Malik Willis at quarterback, who had like 9 passing attempts. So like, and it almost beat the Chiefs.
Yeah. Do they have no? Does anybody have to run? No. Or does anybody have to throw? No. Maybe, but I guess when you have Derrick Henry, it changes the way you play football a little bit. But still got to throw the ball. I mean, they're still going to be. I mean, they're probably going to be down in games, so they're going to have to throw somewhere.
Well, speaking of Derrick Henry, we do have to talk about running back situation. Jay, we got coming in some big nothings for sure yet, but there's all these rumors of holding out with Josh Jacobs and Saquon Barkley. I think the bigger fear though is these guys like almost like unionizing and like sitting out. I mean, there's a chance that they'll do something like that. Am I wrong, Jay? Like,
Barkley was just on like a podcast or something I seen a couple hours ago, where he was talking about like that he's not a type of guy that would do that, but he was like, I kind of have to make that decision now because we're in this situation we're in. He's like, I could be like, fuck the Giants, or I just play in whatever. So I think it's a big possibility that they could.
I mean, I'm afraid of like a bunch of guys banding together and all sitting out. Like, what if like Derrick Henry, Christian McCaffrey, Nick Chubb, all these guys were like, we're standing with our brothers and we're not playing? Like, Dave, what kind of madness would that ensue?
I mean, for the fantasy season, I mean, that's a death kiss.
Yeah.
I understand where they're coming from though. And like I've seen so I saw this graphic today and somebody fact check me. Some guys, if you're listening to this, please fact check me because I'm not 100% sure if this is true. But I saw on the graphic that the average salary for an NFL running back is less than the average NFL kicker.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I
And
see
that
the same
is-
thing.
That
It's
is
true.
wrong.
It's true-ish because
Yes.
Dave, how many NFL kickers are there?
32.
How many NFL running backs are there?
More than 32. 90
Almost over 100.
101
that
and some
that
change.
number is a collective for all the starting running backs, all the backup running backs, every running back on a roster,
All the special teamers.
all special teamer, anybody that is considered a running back in the league. That is a collective average for all of them, which is why it's more for kickers because you only have one kicker on your team.
So
I think
So you're dividing by a less number.
Yeah.
So that's why it seems higher.
I think it's I mean I understand.
I heard
and
that actually. I agree with you, and it's stupid, but I heard that on the radio the other day, and they said the same exact thing. And WGR, Jeremy White was the one that said that's why.
But is it crazy to anybody that we're even having this debate?
yes and no, because here's the thing: the running backs, in my opinion, are, and I love running backs. I've always have. If I was an NFL player, I think I'd be a running back. But
Running
like,
backs are king,
but
especially
like
in the fantasy world.
the problem is that it's a passing league now. So these running backs are holding on to dear life that they're going to be,
Phased out.
they're going to be, and they're getting phased out because
They are.
they can say all they want, Dave. Who was the last running back that was a superstar that won the Super Bowl? Hang on, I got a drop for you.
Emmett Smith.
You can almost say the only one you could say is Marshawn Lynch.
Marshawn Lynch, yeah, okay.
That was 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And then I saw another graphic today. Who was the last running back? And this is for all you guys, if you guys could come up with an answer. Who was the last NFL running back who led the league in rushing, i.e., like Josh Jacobs last year, who led the league in rushing and won the Super Bowl? Anybody?
Hold on. Trying to think of like the last Super Bowl winners.
Pharrell
How many years ago are we going?
Pharrell Davis in 1999.
Oh,
Whoa.
okay.
Okay.
Wow.
That would not have been my guess.
No,
So
not even. I wouldn't have guessed that far back.
if you just go off the top of your head, and we were talking about this in a group chat last year, Isaiah Pacheco, running back of the Super Bowl winning team. 2 years,
Seventh round.
Cam Akers. 3 years ago, Leonard Fournette, but on his second deal, which was worth like $1 million, which was nothing. So before that, you had what? LeGarrette Blount, Deion Lewis, nobody. Even like when the Saints won, their starting running back was what? Pierre Thomas, like nothing. So like if you're looking at like when
That's a blast from the past. Pierre Thomas.
Peyton Manning won with the Broncos, I don't even remember. Was it Noshawn Moreno? Was it Willis McGahee? Like,
Wasn't it? Oh my God! I actually just saw this. I can't remember who his running backs were. Moreno was one of them, but it wasn't. He wasn't the
nobody.
starter. I don't think.
but nobody. Who's the best
Was it
running
Ronnie
back?
Hillman? I think it was Ronnie Hillman.
Maybe. So it does kind of show that running backs aren't important to the NFL anymore. Like that. Like, yes, you need them on your team.
I can't remember.
You there.
I can't remember if I talked about this on the podcast or if I was having a conversation with somebody, but I saw an article with Austin Eckler, who, by the way, don't be afraid to draft him. Draft Austin Eckler. He's going to play on this contract. He's got 1 year left, and he's a baller, and he loves fantasy football, and he loves his owners. But the article was saying that he requested a trade from the Chargers, right? We all know that. And he was talking about, yeah, we can get you a trade, but we only are going to trade you if we get so many first round picks and a second round pick or whatever, these high draft picks. And then he went on to say, okay, well, we didn't get that, but you think that I'm valued that high to trade me, but you won't pay me that way. And that just goes to show you right there is that you're right. These guys don't want to pay running backs premium dollar anymore.
But at the
Yep.
same time, the other NFL teams don't value Austin Eckler enough to trade him for that much. So, I mean,
Right, but that goes to that's the point though, is that they wanted, first round picks for him.
and nobody offered him either.
Nobody offered because they didn't want to give up their first round picks for him. But then they came back and said, all right, well, we're not going to re-sign you right now. Maybe something could happen later on in the season or, before the deadline or whatever, but they don't want to pay him what he's worth in a trade, but it's okay to trade him that way. And so he went on about this article. I forget what it was on. I want to say it was on NFL.com, but so if you get a chance, maybe look that up. But it was an interesting read. I'll tell you, I read it yesterday or this morning. I can't remember, but yeah, I was just going to say that running backs are they're being phased out.
Yep,
they really are.
And we'll end this soon to get to our topic at hand. But like, my bigger fear is not just Saquon or Josh Jacobs. It's what I said. It's all these guys going to try to say unionize, and Austin Eckler would be the first one to say, "I'm sitting out." Yep. Chris McCaffrey's sitting out. Derrick Henry's sitting out. All these guys are sitting out.
Wow.
And I don't know about the NFL. The NFL would go, "All right, sucks to be you guys."
They're not gonna do that though.
I hope not, but if
they're not gonna they're all not gonna give up that money.
Interesting, yeah.
The money long term isn't there, and running backs statistically have a very short career, so they're not gonna give up a season of pay,
which
just to whatever.
I agree, and running backs don't have longevity in the NFL. We know that, but before, when it was maybe 32, 31, then it was like, okay, 30. Now, like, guys, Dalvin Cook and Kareem Hunt and Ezekiel Elliott, those guys are like 28 years old. So I'm not saying that they're like done and their career is over, but prime example, we just said it, the Chiefs drafted Isaiah Pacheco in the 7th round and just won a Super Bowl.
And traded away their best receiver.
Yeah, exactly.
It's wild, and that's just my only fear, that there's something bigger on the horizon, and hopefully they don't. But like, it's gonna be scary. Maybe not this year, but they might all want to sit out, and I don't think the NFL will give a shit. I think the NFL will go fine, sit out, because Isaiah Pacheco just was the leading rusher to win a Super Bowl last year, and the other one was Miles Sanders. Like.
The only way that works though is if they get and this is the problem with most things, is like, in order for this to work, you need to get everybody on board. So that means every single person that wants to play running back in the NFL has to be like, no, we're not doing it.
Yeah, I agree.
I know what you're saying, Dave, but I don't think it has to. I think if it has to mean something, it would be like, you only need like 12 guys that sit down. If all the big guys sit out, the guys making the money, which they probably won't, but what if Derrick Henry, Saquon Barkley, Christian McCaffrey, Nick Chubb, Austin Eckler, and then 6 other guys sit out? That's going to make enough noise, but at the same time, the teams are going to be like, well, fuck you. We don't pay you. We pay somebody else, and watch nothing change really that much.
The biggest example of this, Le'Veon Bell wanted more money, sat out an entire year, didn't get what he wanted to get paid, got paid a little bit less to go to the Jets, career was over. And guess, that was like 4 years ago.
Think about this. Christian McCaffrey gets a lot of money, got traded, for a lot of things and stuff like that. One of the best running backs in the league. How good did the real life San Francisco 49ers do with Christian McCaffrey? They lost the NFC Championship. What did the year before, without Christian McCaffrey, what did the San Francisco 49ers do? lost the NFC Championship. He didn't even move the needle that much for them. I'm not saying they regret that trade, but like you traded all that shit and you still couldn't get past where you needed to get.
The only way to change this is to figure out an alternative to running back rookie deals, because statistically, after their rookie deals, most running backs are out of the league or they're shot. Because statistically, their running back's career is only like 3.5 years or something like that. Last I checked, so like by the time their rookie deals are over, they most of them are only going to have a couple more years, so they need to get paid.
And the NFL knows what they're
at the beginning.
doing.
Yeah,
Because that first year gets an extra year or the first year gets a less year of eligibility and more money. The second year gets an extra, or the second round gets an extra year of eligibility and more money. Why do you think there's only been 1 or 2 or 0 running backs in the past like 5 years in the first round, and everybody goes in the second? There was 0 running backs in the first round last year, maybe 1, no 0, I think, in the first round last year.
Come on, draft guy.
Yeah, because you didn't get Breece Hall to the second round last year. Even the year before, the Najee and Etienne, that was it. The year before, you only had Clyde Edwards-Helaire at the last pick, and then all the other running backs, Swift and Taylor, went in the second round. It's like NFL knows what they're doing, and they're covering their ass. And to like be the, to be on the other side of the fence, like if the running back wants 5-year contract for all this money, and he's going to break down after next year, you are all fucking Tony Pollard Sims. They gave Zeke all that fucking money 2 years ago, and they blew it. They blew all that money. So
Speaking of Pollard,
everyone would have been happy with Zeke, and he had what, 1 good year and then 1 meh year. He had a lot of touchdowns, and then they cut his ass, and they wasted all that money. And it was contracts like Zeke, the contracts like Bell. Todd Gurley signed the biggest running back contract in the history of the NFL and was out of the league 2 years later. Like, that's it. Those guys killed it for all the guys moving forward. That's it.
Pollard is the only one that signed his franchise tag. So he's playing. It's like 10-point-something million for the year, but
it's interesting. It's just more of like what's going to happen next.
The top 3 running backs in the league last year, none of their teams made the playoffs. So
you're exactly right. So, all right,
running backs are a dying breed. But let's get on our real topic for today.
So, because we already thought jabberjawed for a long time on this news. So, Jay, what are we here for today?
tight end rankings.
Tight end rankings, and this is how it's going to work, everybody at home. We are going to follow CBS Sports consensus rankings, and we're going to talk about each player. We're only going to go maybe 15 deep, and at the end, we will reveal individually our not our consensus, but our individual rankings at the end. So we're trying to make it a little more streamlined this year because we were all over the board last year doing this. So I'm going to start off, Dave, without looking. Who do you think the number 1 ranked tight end is?
I mean, you got to go Travis KELCE. I don't think we really need to touch on that. Travis KELCE is the first tight end coming off the board in every single draft. If he's not, please invite me to your draft. I would love to be a part of it. Yeah, Travis KELCE. Let's do it.
Here's all I got to ask between you guys, because I don't think we need to spend much time on Travis KELCE, but only answer this if you think something different. Travis KELCE is the first tight end. Travis KELCE is a first-round pick. Do any of you argue any of that?
Nope.
I don't disagree.
Okay, exactly. So we know that, and I'm very comfortable taking Travis KELCE in the first round. I'm very comfortable maybe taking KELCE like 5th, 6th, like that early, honestly. I am.
I see him go that early a lot.
Yeah, I'm comfortable with that.
I really do.
He is the only one that puts up receiver numbers. The number 2 tight end last year was TJ Hawkinson, and they weren't even close in numbers. Like Travis KELCE, I think almost had 100 more points. 100, I think it was somewhere in the 90s more points.
It's consistency. It's a crap ton of points, and it's in probably the hardest position for you to fill with a consistent role on your roster. I mean, there's no reason that Travis KELCE doesn't go in the first round.
Yeah, I agree. That's one of the hardest positions to fill, in my opinion.
Yep.
And to brag a little bit and to show,
here we go.
You guys can see it, but you can't really see it. But who was my tight end last year?
Nice ring light.
Who was my tight end last year?
Yeah, we know it was KELCE.
So, and even though I got him at a discount basically in the second round last year because those people were taking silly players instead of Travis Kelce, I'm still comfortable taking him in the first. So
Like Alvin Kamara.
yeah, silly. That was fourth overall.
I know.
Silly people, silly ideas. So anybody, I mean, there's nothing to say, right? Easily Travis Kelce, slam dunk, first overall tight end, top
As
5.
long as he's in the league, he's number one, and he's a first round pick.
Yep.
Also a guaranteed Hall of Famer already. All right, so
100%.
we're gonna go to the next consensus CBS, and we're going with Jay with this one. Jay, how do you feel about the man Mark Andrews from the Baltimore Ravens at number 2 here? What are your feelings on this?
Personally, I think it's a little high for Mark Andrews, even though that's the consensus. But
And why do you feel it's a little high?
I think I just don't think he's that good, in my opinion. He's only had like last good year was what 2021.
Yep.
So
I'll jump in here with you too because like I said it last year that he was a bit overrated. He still finished like third or fourth at tight end, but like he's not even. There was people that were taking Mark Andrews over Travis Kelce last year, and they must be kicking themselves in the ass still to this day because he's not that dude. He's just all Lamar Jackson had. But guess what? He's not all Lamar Jackson has anymore. Lamar Jackson just added a whole ton of players. So there's no promise that Mark Andrews is his number one option. I mean, he still could be because Lamar likes to throw over the middle. But like, I don't know. I am not comfortable with Mark Andrews at number 2, not in a sense of like, oh my God, he's going to be at 7. And I still might even have him at number 2 in my rankings. But to me, it's like some people would say, Dave, tell me if this was true last year. People would say last year, you got tier 1 of Travis Kelce and Mark Andrews, and then the next tiers are everybody else. That's not true anymore. Tier 1 is just Kelce. Am I right?
I mean, I feel like tier 1 is just Kelce. I mean, he's so above and beyond everybody else at the position that you can't really group anybody together. And when it comes to Mark Andrews, I'm honestly not the biggest Mark Andrews fan. Like I also don't agree with his second overall ADP. I don't agree with that at all.
Yeah, it's tough. It's a tough pill to swallow because he had one good year. Like he had one good year. Like what? George Kittle has had like 3 good years. TJ Hawkinson maybe had one good year. Waller's had a couple good years. Like Mark Andrews had one good year. And everyone's simping out over it.
And I know he did miss 2 games last year, but if you go back and look at the stats, I mean, a lot has happened for Mark Andrews. We've seen a lot of decline in his stats. He went from 153 targets to 113. He went from 1,361 yards to 847. He went from 9 touchdowns to 5. And like, you know, say what you want about OBJ, but he's going to soak up targets. And like, you know, knock on wood, like I'm waiting for Dobbins and Edwards to get hurt in spring training or something like that.
In OTAs.
But as of right now, they are still on the team, so they're going to be a little bit more run heavy. You know, Baltimore likes to run the ball, and when they have their running backs that they can do it with, they like to do it. For whatever reason, they really like Isaiah Likely. So I mean, Isaiah Likely is going to be on the field. They picked up Nelson Aguilar. They like Rashad Bateman's coming back. I'm just like, there's going to be a lot of mouths to feed in this Ravens offense.
And I'm totally with you there, Adam. You got anything to say about Mark Andrews before we do our rankings later?
I mean, with Andrews, it's just he was the only option for a while in Baltimore. Lamar Jackson didn't have anybody to throw to, and now that he does have OBJ, and they drafted Zay Flowers, I agree with Dave. There's a lot of mouths to feed there, and I think we're really going to see a big decline in Mark Andrews' game this year, and I don't think he's going to be over 100 targets this year.
Okay, well, all right. We'll move on here to we're gonna stick with you, Adam. The number 3 consensus tight end ranking is TJ Hawkinson. So, what are your early feelings about TJ Hawkinson? He finished 2 last year in tight end ranking. Surprise.
I'm actually a big TJ Hawkinson fan. He's a big body, great hands, can run routes. He's gonna have a lot to compete with again in Minnesota. But when he was in Detroit, like he was very solid, very I think he's one of the faster tight ends in the league. I love TJ Hawkinson, and I don't think three is bad for him. I think that's probably right where he should be. Like you said, he finished 2. I had him on my championship team when I won in my other league, so I'm totally in on that. And I get to keep him for a 9th round. I'm so in on that. Yeah, I love me some TJ Hawkinson. I've been a fan of him for a while, but he had a lot of injury issues, and that's always a concern. Um, and again, Minnesota drafted a young rookie too, in Jordan Addison. So we'll see how he plays out in Minnesota. But I think he's an outlet for Kirk Cousins.
Okay, fair enough. My thing with TJ is like I have always liked him. I mean, the guy was an 8th overall draft pick in the NFL draft. Like, he just kind of was Detroit, was cool and then hurt, cool and then hurt, cool and then hurt, and then last year he was kind of meh, got traded, and then started tearing it up. So there's a chance that it was a fluke, but on the other hand, there's also a chance that a whole offseason with Kirk Cousins and integrating into this Kevin O'Connell offense, that he could be a pretty big deal. So I'm not afraid of TJ Hawkinson at 3rd. We'll see where he is in the final ranks. You got anything for him, Dave?
I like TJ Hawkinson. I mean, I'm fine with exactly where he was. Like you were saying, I mean, he came over from Detroit. In the 10 games that he had in Minnesota, he was over 500 yards. He was at like 80 something targets just in those 10 games. I mean, give him a full season in Minnesota with Kirk Cousins, give him that off time to, really start to gel. Like you said, he's an 8th round. He was an 8th overall pick. So, I mean, we know the talent's there. And yeah, I mean, Jefferson, obviously number 1, but I think Hawkinson you could argue that Hawkinson is going to be the 2nd target there.
I don't even know if you could argue that, but Jay, what I think he is. But Jay, what do you got at anything special on TJ Hawkinson or anything?
No, I like it. I like where he's at, and I like Hawkinson. So
And what if perfect fit? I mean, is he not a Viking?
yeah,
He really is.
He is.
He's got the look of a Viking. I like it.
Yeah.
So it fits perfect. So, all right, we'll move on to a controversial, I believe, here, and I'll take this one as the main character here. The controversial of Kyle Pitts as their consensus number 4 tight end, and looking over kind of at the other guy, the guys, Dave Richard has him at number 3. So, Kyle Pitts, I mean, me and Dave touched on this before when we were doing the NFC South. I remember he's always been what it could be. What can Kyle Pitts be? He's got this, he's got that, but it's Kyle Pitts, blah blah blah. He's never going to make it, and we've been sad about it. But the problem is he is a athletic freak, and he also has had 1,000-yard season. In 2021, he just didn't have any touchdowns, but that was kind of the MO with Matt Ryan. Then am I not wrong? I mean, Matt Ryan's never had a lot of touchdowns from one receiver, right? So there's that chance. So then the next year they don't have Matt Ryan, and he doubles his touchdowns with 2, gets hurt halfway through the season. We know that. And he was also had Marcus Mariota. So whatever, Marcus Mariota is not that great of a thrower of football. So I know you're going in with Desmond Ridder, but you've got a different offense now with Bijan Robinson. You got a different quarterback with Ridder, and I like Ridder. I don't know if I'm comfortable with Pitts at 4, but you want to talk about upside. If there's anyone that can just turn it on and take over the number 1 spot from Travis KELCE, it's without a shadow of a doubt Kyle Pitts. So Adam, fight me or whatever.
I'm gonna fight you because have you guys, Dave, Jay, have you guys watched Quarterback on Netflix yet?
Yep.
no,
I am 2 episodes deep. I started the 3rd one. I'm loving it. What I did not know is that Desmond Ridder being drafted by the Falcons, their NFL comparison was Marcus Mariota.
Yep.
So is he really that different from Marcus to Desmond throwing the ball?
You're right.
That has me going, holy shit. I do not like Kyle Pitts. I have a bad taste in my mouth about Kyle Pitts. I understand that he is an absolute freak, and I agree with that definitely. I am not sold on Desmond Ridder, and after watching that episode and having that on the screen, seeing that they compared Desmond Ridder to Marcus Mariota, I am so out on Kyle Pitts.
I mean, that's fair enough. What was I gonna? I was gonna ask. I'll ask Dave this question because here's for comparison. Dave, how many 1,000-yard seasons has Dallas Goedert had?
I don't know if he's had any.
0. How many 1,000-yard seasons has T.J. Hawkinson had?
I don't think maybe 1.
0.
0.
How many 1,000-yard seasons has Pat Freiermuth had?
Also, I feel like you're setting me up for 0, and I don't want to be this guy though. But has any one of those 3 ever had a 1 touchdown season?
Fair. I mean, it goes both ways, right? I get it, but
yeah.
Is that Kyle Pitt's fault or is that Matt Ryan's fault? Right? Like,
okay. Is it their fault? Is it Jalen Hurts' fault? Is it throw to Dallas Goedert for touchdowns? Is it that he doesn't throw for him the yards? Like, that's just a irrelevant fact. Kyle Pitts has not lived up to his hype, and he's been in the league for this is his 4th year. No, I don't see him doing any better with Desmond Ridder than he did with Marcus Mariota or Matt Ryan or whoever's there.
This is his 3rd year, and just okay, Adam. If you want to talk about Dallas Goedert being great, how many?
I didn't say he was great.
How many more touchdowns did Dallas Goedert have than Kyle Pitts last year?
3.
One more touchdown than Kyle Pitts, who only played 4 games. So, just
Goddard also got hurt for a little bit. There's a little bit in there.
But putting that in just perspective, like, not like he's, you know what I'm saying, like this world. So, like, if depending on where you're putting Pitts, I just think Pitts, if you look at it, like, is Dallas Goedert going to be the number 1 fantasy tight end? No. Is George Kittle going to be the number 1 fantasy tight end? Maybe. Is Hawkinson? Probably not. But Pitts could. He could. I'm not saying he will, but he could.
Yes.
You said this last year, and I was down on Kyle Pitts last year, and you guys thought I was crazy when I was down on him, and here we are again talking about the same thing. Like, oh, he could be this, he could be that.
Well, anybody could be.
Yeah. So
You're saying
I'm sick of this shit with Kyle Pitts, man. He's the biggest fucking bust of tight ends in recent memory. So,
I mean,
I don't like the argument of could be because you could literally put any name in there and they could be. TJ Hawkinson and who else did you say? Goddard. Who there was one more in there? Kittle.
Yeah, Kittle.
They all could be number 1.
Yeah, Kittle could be for sure.
Kittle is more likely to be number 1 out of all 3 of those guys. Goddard has a better quarterback. Kittle has a better quarterback. If they're comparing Desmond Ridder to Marcus Mariota, you're not going to see any passes at all. You're going to see a running quarterback who hands off to 97-year-old Cordell Patterson
or Bijan Robinson.
Either way, he's a rookie. I don't hold rookies to a high value. I don't care how hyped they are or anything like that. They're still rookies, and it's hard to say.
I just think
great. Absolutely.
I just think people are giving Kyle Pitts a hard time and don't realize how good at least his rookie season was. We talked about he had over 1,000 yards. If we're going to focus on he only had 1 touchdown, sure. But let's talk about receptions. 68 receptions. Okay. Dallas Goedert's receptions for his career never had more than 58. And Kyle Pitts had 68 his rookie season. We'll look at TJ Hawkinson here. This past year, TJ Hawkinson had 86 receptions, his biggest ever. Before that, his biggest was 67, just about where Kyle Pitts was. So again, it's not.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think Dallas Goedert was drafted 4th overall in the draft. So I mean,
4th round pick. You're right.
So
but TJ Hawkinson was an 8th overall pick, and he was always given a pass, even though his first year he had 2 touchdowns. His second year he did have 6.
He didn't play a full season until last year.
So yeah, okay. No, he played his second year. He had 16 games, 2020, and that's when he had his 6 touchdowns. But I'm just saying, like, everyone's giving Kyle Pitts a really hard time because he had a pretty good rookie season, to be honest. 68 receptions for 1,000 yards for a tight end. Like,
Sure, that's good on
Good
that's
thing.
good on the stats though, but not
but this is
fantasy.
fantasy football stats.
But he didn't have good fantasy numbers.
What?
That's the
68
point.
receptions for 1,000 yards. That probably was like top 5 fantasy finish that year. So like that's not like for where he had a horrible last year. We can all admit that. 28 receptions, 356 yards, and 2 touchdowns in what, 4 games, 5 games? I can't even remember. God awful. I am not taking that away from him. But that's it. He's done. Pack him up because he had one bad year. Like, come on. You know, we just got to keep that in mind. Like his rookie season was great. And then he had a horrible last year. So I mean, I just trying to keep everybody like down to earth on this guy, that he's a great talent and he could be a lot better than we're giving him credit for. But we'll have to see where I have him in my final rankings, because maybe I have him high, maybe I have him in the middle. So we'll have to see.
He definitely has all the talent in the world. And I think, like, a lot like Chaz said, people are super down on him. And I think part of the reason because of that is because it almost seems like Kyle Pitts almost gets this free pass on talent alone, where the talent is the only thing that's always keeping him in this top 5 conversation. And I think if you really go back, like if you were really, really kind of look at this in another situation, we have a player that they did well their rookie season. Then they got injured their second season, didn't end up doing much of anything. They're coming back from an MCL tear, so there's still re-injury concern. There's still concern that maybe maybe he's lost a step. There's concern on quarterback play. There's concern that it's going to be a run first offense with their new toy Bijan Robinson. And it's like, if it was any other player besides Kyle Pitts, all of these things would be taken into account, and that person would be ranked much lower than what they are. But because it's Kyle Pitts and he's this once in a lifetime talent, like we just no matter what, like it's Kyle Pitts, he's top 5 tight end. And it's like, I think that's where like the frustration comes in sometimes.
Well, yeah, because it could be there, and it kind of was there, but it kind of wasn't. So it's interesting to see. I knew he would be the most polarizing player. So we'll move on though, because we spent a lot of time there too. We've got 5th overall consensus ranking is Dallas Goedert, and let me give this one to Adam.
I like Dallas Goedert. I liked him when Zach Ertz was still there. But it's Philadelphia. They have a running quarterback who, when they get within the 5-yard line, runs the football. We know that. We saw it last year, and we're going to continue to see it again. It's just what they do. But AJ Brown had a great season. Devonta Smith had a great season. Their touchdowns might not be up there, but the yards were certainly there. I like Goddard. I think he's a good route runner. I think he's a big body, catch the ball. I don't think I've ever seen him drop an easy one. Off the top of my head, I can't remember anything. I had him on my team, so I paid a little bit more attention to him. I like Goddard here. I think he might be a little high at 5 for me, but overall, I think he's probably within that range. Maybe the 5 to 10 range for me. So.
Okay. I mean, it's fair enough. Like I just think Goddard's a little overblown and a little overrated, because I've been looking at his stats here, and like his best receiving yard season was 830 2 years ago, which is fine. His best receiving touchdown season was 5 touchdowns, and that was 4 years ago. It's fine. I mean, it's good. His best reception season was 2 years ago as well, 56. So I was because you brought it up and saying, like, so would we say that, Adam, would you say that Dallas Goedert's best year was last year or the year before, right? And,
Sure.
and his stats last
I don't
year,
have his stats here.
His stats last year: 55 receptions for 702 yards and 3 touchdowns. And the year before, 56 receptions, 830 yards and 4 touchdowns. So fairly similar.
I think the biggest thing with tight ends, and I think a lot of people might or might not feel this way, I don't know, but I'm hoping they feel this way. But with tight ends, everybody compares it to Travis Kelce. You're always looking for the next Travis Kelce. Who is going to get you over 1,000? Tight end is not a position that is supposed to get you that, like 800 yards for a tight end. That's really good.
But not for Kyle Pitts, right? Not for Kyle Pitts. His 1,100, it's not good.
I didn't say that wasn't. I never said it wasn't good, but it just everybody just gets this tight end thing. It's like, I totally understand that tight end. There's a huge drop off after the top 5. I don't know.
Do we,
I was just looking up real quick to compare him with Zach Ertz. Zach Ertz in 2018 had 116 receptions for 1,200 yards and 8 touchdowns. Zach Ertz in 2019 had 88 receptions for 916 yards and 6 touchdowns. And then Zach Ertz has been hurt basically every year since. So even at their highest, he is not even Dale Goddard is not even close to being as good as Zach Ertz was.
do we know?
Zach Ertz also had he didn't have Jalen Hurts as his quarterback for majority of his career in Philadelphia.
Yeah, he had Nick Foles and Carson
He had
Wentz. So
right pocket passers who throw the ball to tight ends, not Jalen Hurts who runs every chance he gets, not Lamar Jackson who runs every chance he gets, even though Mark Andrews was his only target. So that's why he gets the yards.
What are you trying to put in there, Dave?
Do we know how many games Dallas Goedert played last year, though?
Yeah, I can find out because he did miss a few, but I don't think it was more than 4. But let me see. Because I was just looking at his career stats, but it couldn't have been more than 4. But I'm looking it up. But Dave or Jay, what do you want to say about Dallas Goedert?
I mean, it's a little high, I think, but I mean, I'm fine with it.
So 2022, I guess it was more than 4. Yeah, he played 12, so he missed more. He missed 5.
5
Yeah.
games.
So I mean, on a 12-game stretch to have 70 targets and 700 yards and 3 touchdowns, I mean it's pretty decent. I feel like it's pretty decent, and it's no secret. I've talked about Dallas Goedert a lot. I'm a huge fan of Dallas Goedert. Now, putting him 5 is a problem for me because the thing that I love about Dallas Goedert is where you can typically get him in drafts. So like, am I expecting Dallas Goedert to put up, 1,100 yards and 8 touchdowns? No, but I'm also expecting to get Dallas Goedert if like I missed out on KELCE and I'm not super high on anybody else in like the top 5 of the tight end, and I grab Dallas Goedert in like the 8th, 9th round. I mean, that's why I love Dallas Goedert, because if you're waiting on a tight end and you grab Dallas Goedert in the 8th round, like you could do a lot worse.
And those are good numbers for an 8th round pick.
But if he's at 5, he's
especially
not
at tight end.
This is what scares me, because now it seems like people are coming up on the Dallas Goedert kind of bandwagon, and his value is very much, for me, tied to being able to grab him in the later rounds as like a set it and forget it tight end, so that I can use my early rounds to go elsewhere in different positions.
Yeah, and I totally agree with you. And let's move on to the next one. And we're gonna give this one to Jay because this is his favorite player in the NFL, and we're gonna talk about George Kittle.
I wouldn't go that far,
but you are a George Kittle guy,
yeah.
So you're looking at George Kittle, and he is going, where are we? 6? He's 6th overall here. We might not go through these 15. We might just go through the top 10 here and then give our top 15. But so George Kittle, Jay. Now, he's coming in with 2 injury riddled seasons in a row, if not 3 in a row, actually, now that I'm looking at it. 3 injury riddled seasons in a row. But you want to talk about touchdowns. This guy last year had 60 receptions for 765 yards, and he missed a few games, but he had 11 touchdowns. And in the 2 years prior, he had 71 receptions for 900 yards. Then he had an injured year, 48 for 640. But the 2 years before that, 85 receptions for 1,100 yards and 88 receptions for nearly 1,400 yards. So this guy's a monster.
Yeah.
But what's his problem, Jay?
He's hurt a lot. But so sometimes they're big injuries, but he'll also get those small ones where he's like out for half a game or out for a whole game, back the next game, out for another game. But I mean, he was injured. He missed some games last year, and he still finished like top 3, I believe, in tight ends.
3rd, yeah, I think it was.
So
11
so, I
touchdowns
mean,
do that.
Yeah, so I mean, he's a stud, and I think where they have him ranked is pretty low.
I agree with you because I'm high on Kittle this year as long as he could stay healthy, because especially if Brock Purdy is the starter and they do go silly like that, George Kittle with Brock Purdy was almost as good as Travis Kelce. If you look back at the game logs, the last few games of the season, plus the playoffs, George Kittle was an animal the last like 3-4 games of the season, and he was a machine in the playoffs. So I really like George Kittle, especially if Brock Purdy's the quarterback. Dave, what do you got?
I love Kittle this year, especially the value with him 6 overall. I think they got him ranked way too low, and yeah, 11 touchdowns in 15 games. Guy averages a touchdown every day he steps on the field almost. Like, yeah, put that on my team, please.
Okay.
Same. I couldn't agree more. I love Kittle. I've always liked Kittle. I know he's injury prone, and that obviously sucks for fantasy.
Yeah.
You hate to see anybody go down with an injury because it just ruins your entire season, especially if you have a guy like Kittle. I agree that he's ranked a little bit too low for me. But I mean, yeah, Kittle, there's no question Kittle's a monster.
So I'm gonna ask right now, since we just talked both about him, we're gonna spoil our rankings just a bit. Adam, who do you have first, Kittle or Goddard? Who are you taking first?
Kittle.
You're taking Kittle first. Dave,
I have Kittle first too.
Jay,
Kittle.
and I'm there too. So okay, so I'm just making sure that like, because what I was saying last week, that like there's this overabundance of the Eagles are the new hotness, and if you're drafting Dallas Goddard over George Kittle, you're doing it wrong. I'm just, and these guys are doing.
I mean, just because I like Dallas Goddard doesn't mean I'm stupid enough to draft him over George Kittle.
That's why I asked. That's why I asked.
Yeah, let's not go crazy. I mean,
give me some sort of credit. I mean, I did make the playoffs last year, but
these professional fantasy football analysts, all their consensus rankings have Goddard over Kittle. So, and that's silly. And looking at their actual rankings, the one that I like from CBS, I don't know if you guys follow him. I love Dave Richard, and he's the only one that has Kittle above Goddard because he's smart, and that's why he's the best out of them. So, Dave Richard, by the way, is one of my favorite fantasy analysts of all time from CBS. So that's why he's kind of the guy that helped me get better just reading all his articles. So we'll move on to another controversial one, and I'll start with this guy because this guy was my why not. And we're going with Darren Waller. A lot of the things you said about Kittle, you can say about Waller.
Very true about Waller.
They have been hurt, blah, 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 touchdowns, blah, blah, blah. He's hurt. He's on the field. He's amazing, blah, blah, blah. Okay. So I can say that all about Waller. So nobody could argue me and say that this guy sucks because he gets hurt all the time because everyone just praised Kittle. Waller last year hurt. Waller last year was hurt. We were big on him. The dude had 28 receptions for 388 yards for 3 touchdowns. Waller the year before hurt, but he still had 55 catches for 665 yards and 2 touchdowns. That's like Dallas Goddard numbers. Sorry, I'm just saying. But that's a hurt Darren Waller.
But I'm gonna get a Dallas Goddard jersey.
I know. We're actually angry about Dallas Goddard.
He's just overrated because here's the difference. People are simping out because Dallas Goddard had that 700-yard receiving and 60 receptions. Darren Waller in 2020 had 107 receptions for 1,200 yards and 9 touchdowns. Darren Waller in 2019 had 90 receptions for 1,150 yards and only 3 touchdowns. Boo-hoo. So the simple fact that this guy has been injured the last 2 years, fine. So has Kittle. So how can we have this guy hold him so much lower in the fantasy consensus? Obviously not CBS's consensus, but it just seems like in general, he's going to a new team. He's going to a team that desperately needs a number 1 target, an alpha dog. And Darren Waller is an alpha dog because if you look at the down season he had last year, even when he came back, he wasn't the alpha dog anymore because they had to placate to Devontae Adams. So like if Darren Waller stays healthy, Darren Waller could be the number 1 tight end. Darren Waller could be the number 2 tight end. I really strongly believe that, but that's a big if. So, and I could admit that. So, Adam, talk to me about Darren Waller.
I have a small fantasy crush on Darren Waller. I've drafted him a lot, and I think this is going to come down to where he's being drafted for value purposes of the tight end position. I have him highly ranked in my rankings, so I'm in on Darren Waller, especially going to a team who does not have very good weapons at wide receiver. So I'm high on Waller.
All right, Dave, what do you got?
I'm also high on Waller. I don't want to dip too much into my rankings here, but I don't agree with 7th overall. We talked about it a lot. There's I mean, they're literally starving for anybody to catch the ball over there, and I don't think Derek Carr is like significantly an upgrade over going to play with Daniel Jones, but I think that's probably a little bit of why Waller's sitting where he is right now. Is just like I think a lot of the analysts don't really have faith in Daniel Jones, so
I don't think anybody does.
Yeah, but I mean,
But they're happy with Brock Purdy. Like, I don't understand the NFL people.
I think it's just because Kittle has been able to prove it with Purdy. So we've already seen him been able to do it. We haven't seen Waller been able to do it with Daniel Jones. So that's probably where I'm going with. But like,
not to mention, Daniel Jones threw 15 touchdowns last year. 15.
How many did
That's not a lot. Who?
Derek Carr for the Raiders. It's not like.
I mean, he's not 15. More than that, he was 20 plus.
You're right, probably.
Yeah, I think it's just he's probably just. I think he's being ranked this low just because we haven't seen it yet, and this is another situation where I think at his current ADP, you're getting great value, and if he ends up being, what it seems like, all of us think he's gonna be, like, hats off to you, because like you just nailed that draft right there, grabbing him wherever you grabbed him.
Just before I get Jay's take on him, Adam, I just want to point something out because we said Derek Carr, but the season that Darren Waller had 90 receptions for 1,145 yards and only three touchdowns, Derek Carr threw for 19 touchdowns. So it's not like.
Okay, but how many years ago was that?
That was the same year. I'm saying that.
What year?
Waller had his big year, 2018.
Yeah, I was talking about last season.
Sure. So, but
Daniel Jones.
I
don't care what Derek Carr did.
So it doesn't matter what Darren Waller's quarterback did before, but it matters what Daniel Jones does.
No.
All right, Jay.
No,
what are
that's
your,
not what I said.
I'm not going
I wasn't even talking about Derek Carr. What I was talking about was last season, Daniel Jones threw for 15 touchdowns. If Darren Waller, Darren Waller wants to do well there, he's going to, because they don't have anybody else to throw the ball to. I don't hate Daniel Jones. I think Daniel Jones is a capable quarterback. He had like 3,700 yards last year.
Right. I'm just saying, like, what I was saying is, and then I guess we're agreeing with the same thing, is that Darren Waller has showed he can have big seasons even if his quarterback throws in less than 20.
The real question that Adam won was Carr had 24 touchdowns last year.
Yeah. But that doesn't.
I was talking about last year.
Waller didn't play.
Okay.
Waller played 4 games last year. He was totally injured. But Jay, I know you used to have a crush on Waller.
No, I love Waller, and I don't know if you guys are looking, but Heath Cummings, if you're taking Njoku, Freiermuth, and probably Goddard before Waller, you're smoking crack.
Yeah, Heath Cummings is.
Yeah, I saw that. Jesus.
There's no way I'm taking Freiermuth before Waller.
For sure. Keith Cummings is not the greatest at this. And I love Waller. And actually, I just want to talk about this with Waller real quick before we go, before we move on, because people don't realize this. And I want to bring this light to you, and I want to bring this in light to everybody at home. Darren Waller is a recovering drug addict. Everybody knows that, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
So he's a recovering drug addict, and we've never given thought to this. So we're going to sit here and bitch and complain and talk about how he's always hurt. And I just mean we in general as football people, how he's always hurt, or he's a pussy. Get out on the field, tape it up. This guy cannot take any painkillers, none. So when somebody gets out there and they're injured, and George Kittle's playing injured because he's a big man and I'm sure he's getting shot up with shit. I'm sure he's taking painkillers. Darren Waller cannot touch a painkiller due to his sobriety and his recovery. So this guy has a disadvantage at coming back from injuries. And I don't think anybody realizes that, including myself, until I heard this interview with him. So I think we need to give that guy a little praise and love for his recovery and kind of understand a little bit more about his struggle. So I just wanted to put that out there.
I just love me some Darren Waller. I really do.
So I was happy I could get that out there so people can understand that. Don't come at Darren Waller calling him a pussy because he can't. I mean, what can he take? Aspirin? That's about it. He can't take a painkiller
I
because
don't even know if they allow him to take that.
right, he'll relapse. So like, all right, so we're gonna move on to I don't like this one here, but whatever. Pat Fryermuth here at 8.
Huh.
I don't know. I mean, you're getting into the point now where it's a grab bag, but I just think other people are a sexier grab bag than Pat Fryermuth because like the stats last year were good and fine. 63 receptions, 732 yards, 2 touchdowns. Okay. I mean, like that's not too far off of what we were talking about Goddard earlier. So I mean, obviously it's a good season, but like I don't know. I just feel like people underneath him are sexy, and I'm kind of just meh on him. I don't know. Adam, what do you got for Fryermuth?
I don't like the Steelers. I really don't.
Jay, cover your wife's ears. Is she around?
No,
They're like they don't. I don't know. I can't say that I hate them because I don't. They have a great defense, and I would love to have their defense on my team. But they just come. I mean, they had a rookie quarterback last year. Like, Kenny Pickett's got to take the next step. They have our favorite receiver, Allen Robinson, now, so we should see an absolute increase, from the kid.
The man we don't speak of.
Yeah, I mean, give me a break. Like, come on. You think that Allen Robinson was going to save this kid? You have Deontay Johnson. Fryermuth is just a guy. He's not Heath Miller. And nobody's ever going to be Heath Miller, and it's just a guy that's just going to fill a space on the field, and they're going to continue to underthrow Deontay Johnson. They got George Pickens, and I don't know. I just don't see Fryermuth being all that good this year. And I'm not saying his stats were good last year. He had decent stats, but it was also a rookie quarterback trying to figure out the league. Short passes to the tight end to dump it off, and hopefully he takes the next step and he doesn't need his tight end as much.
Okay, Jay, what do you?
I just don't like Fryermuth
on your second team.
I think it's close. I think it's close to where he's at. I mean, when you're getting in this territory, like the tight end is what it is.
Yeah,
and
I agree with that.
I think he's sneaky dependable. So like if you want someone that's gonna get you, whatever dependable points, he's a good option.
You could do worse, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
Okay.
Definitely could do worse than Pat Fryermuth, but I think that's a very high ranking from
Dave. What are your feelings on Fryermuth? Because you said 2 weeks ago that you're taking Fryermuth over Kyle Pitts, which is malarkey, but
that is still the case. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I don't know. I think like we said, you get to this point in the draft, tight ends is kind of meh. If you leave your draft with Pat Fryermuth, are you feeling great about it? No, you're probably not. Are you like super worried about it? No, you're probably not. I mean, the dude got 100 targets last year. Pickett's going to be more comfortable. They didn't do anything to bolster the receiving core, so I would say that he's probably going to be right around where he was last year, if not, hopefully slightly better. And yeah, I mean, if you miss out on, if you totally fade on tight end and just go elsewhere in your draft and you end up with Pat Fryermuth and like, somebody in the 11 to 15 range that you're taking a shot on, I think that's fine.
All right. Well, like I said, very meh. We'll just move on. But Pat Fryermuth had 2 touchdowns last year, and so did Kyle Pitts. So we'll move on. And like the argument I was going to use between Goddard and Fryermuth, but I can't really use because you were right, Dave, when you said earlier that Goddard's points came in 12 games, where Pat Fryermuth had 63 receptions, 732 yards, and 2 touchdowns in 16 games.
Well, where did Kyle Pitts finish in the tight end rankings last year? Because
he only played 4 games, so it's not.
So what?
Lookable.
You're trying to make an argument about they have the same touchdowns, but
right. So yeah. So you're right. Kyle Pitts had 2 touchdowns in 4 games, and Pat Fryermuth had 2 touchdowns in 16 games. So
with a rookie quarterback,
and Marcus Mariota on their side. So they're both like whatever. Oh God, if you guys all have Fryermuth above Pitts, I'm gonna vomit. Happy you guys are all in the league.
Oh,
Thank
I
you.
can't wait to do
No
my
wonder
ranking.
you know what? No wonder I won the fucking league last year. This makes sense.
Okay,
I built,
settle
I
down.
built a good league. Okay, we'll move on. We'll move on to.
You're so high on Kyle Pitts. I want you to draft him in the
I'm
first
not that
round.
high. I'm not that high.
League,
We'll have to see my rankings because I'm not that high.
league champion this year is getting a Kyle Pitts jersey. That's what we're playing for.
I'm not as high
I
as
like
I was
that.
last year,
I'll wear it if I lose. I don't care.
but we'll see when we get there. Okay, so number 9, we've got Evan Ingram. And I think this one's a bit controversial because everyone, especially I know Adam, hates.
I don't think so.
And
Who hate? I don't hate Ingram.
he was your knobrow last year, and you said I hate.
Well,
Evan
that's
Ingram. He'll never
Well,
be. On
yeah,
my
because
team.
he fucked
that's
me when
why-
he was a Giant, but he had a good season last year, and he's got Trevor Lawrence, and Trevor Lawrence is probably one of my might be top 5 for me this year.
It's interesting to see. So okay, Adam, take him. Take Evan Ingram. Go ahead.
I like Evan Ingram. He finally did last year what I've always expected him to do in New York, but he didn't have it in New York because he's another guy that was injured a little bit. Didn't really get it going with. I mean, I think he had Eli Manning for a little bit. Daniel Jones came in, really didn't see a whole lot from Danny Dimes, and he's definitely been getting better. I like him in the Jaguars offense. I like Ingram a lot here. And I think, where do they have him ranked? I have my thing closed. 8,
9.
9. I think 9's fine for him. I think he could be top 10. I think he was top 10
He was
last
top
year.
5 last year.
No, even better. It's so maybe it is. I like him at 9 for this ranking.
All right, Jay, what are your feelings on Mr. Ingram?
I think he's kind of low, especially when you finished 5th overall in tight ends last year, and he's
Got a lot better quarterback than some of the guys above him.
yeah, exactly. So yeah, I think it's low.
All right, Dave.
Yeah, I also think he's kind of low. I love Evan Ingram this year. Last year, 98 targets, 73 receptions, 766 on the yards, 4 touchdowns. Trevor Lawrence is getting better. Calvin Ridley comes back. I think Calvin
That's
Ridley.
the only thing that scares me is Ridley being there.
I actually think that is an.
I think it's gonna help him.
I think it's gonna help him. I think it's gonna help him because Calvin Ridley stretches the field and he's gonna open things up in the middle. And I think that's key. That might suck for the wide receiver too, but for the tight end that is comfortable with Trevor Lawrence knows Evan Ingram. He's been with them for a while. I think it's going to open up the field for Evan Ingram, and I'm totally fine with him being 9th overall. I think he's a little low.
And then here's like what I'm interested to see when we do our rankings, because you guys all say he's a little low. I say he's a little low too. Who's he going to jump? I mean, obviously he's going to jump fucking Kyle Pitts with all you guys, but maybe Kyle Pitts for you guys and maybe Freiermuth, and then what? Like he can't go much higher, but maybe he can. So we'll see when we get there. And we'll go to I didn't really give too much on Evan Ingram, but I agree with how Adam was saying it. Like he's always been a great athletic prospect. He had a great rookie season, and then he kind of fell off, or so I thought. And I'm looking at his stats, and yeah, he fell off from his rookie season, but rookie season 64. 722 and 6 touchdowns. And then he dropped to 45, 44, but then he was back up to 63, 650 and 1 touchdown. And last year he had 73, 766 and 4 touchdowns. So like Evan Ingram has always had it. And it's nice to see him kind of come, into his own, and it's like a perfect storm. You got Calvin Ridley coming in there to stretch the field, like Dave was saying. You got a young gunslinger quarterback, and now he's got a tight end that he can rely on. I mean, watch out. I think, he could be a top 5 again, if not 3, if everything falls into place. All right. So we'll move on to the final guy we're going to discuss in this list, and then we'll do our list. And I do want to talk about this guy, and I'll take the lead on this one. David Njoku for Cleveland. And I have always been a fan of David Njoku, and he just could never seem to get out of his own fucking way with injuries. Nonetheless, that sounds like every tight end. But this guy's big talent coming out of Miami University, 1st round pick for the Cleveland Browns in 2017 draft, and just keeps getting injured. And last year he got injured, but actually, and I want to pull it up to make sure I have the right number of games he played. So he played 14 games last year. So he missed 3 games last year. So even though he missed 3 games last year, he had He had pretty good stats for somebody who was slept on. I don't even think he was drafted. He was easily a backup. So even though he missed 3 games, he had 58 receptions, 628 yards with 4 touchdowns. And that was with Jacoby Brissett, and then he was hurt right when Deshaun came back and had Deshaun for a little bit. So he's going to his second year with Deshaun Watson. I'm expecting Deshaun Watson to be better than he played last year. I really am. So I'm expecting that offense to hum a little bit more. So I like David Njoku. I think he's a little low here, and I'm excited to actually see what this kid can do with Deshaun Watson. So let's move it to you, Dave.
I mean, I've always been an Njoku fan too, because he's one of these guys that you can kind of get for free most times, and he does have flashes in the pan where you really see the talent, and it's like, if you figure out the right day to play him, it's gonna work out great for you. It's just hard to figure out that day. I know I've seen him a lot on kind of like breakout candidates for the season on like those types of things. I'm fine with this.
I feel like I see him on the breakout every single year.
Yeah, like I just I'm fine with this. The talent alone should put him in the top 10. I would say that I would love to have my tight end before we even get to the conversation of me talking about David Njoku. But at this point in the draft, it's kind of like a why not? Like take your shot. Hopefully this is the year that he kind of comes around and stays on the field.
But I think I think he's got a much higher ceiling than somebody say like Pat Fryermuth. So if they're right there together, which they are here, just about, I'm taking Njoku first, just because of that ceiling, I guess.
I do agree with you that the ceiling is higher, but I think when you're getting into these later rounds, I don't know. It's going to be all about how you draft, but I think when you're getting into these later rounds, if I've faded on tight end, I kind of want consistency. Like I don't want to fade on tight end so deep and then grab like David Njoku and just not know what's happening, have him not pan out to be anything like he kind of does because he gets hurt a lot. And there's sometimes that he just doesn't put up numbers. And now you're just like, you're scouring the waiver wire trying to find anybody with a pulse to put in your tight end spot, where it's like you could have grabbed Fryermuth instead, and it's like, is he going to be a home run? No, but he's consistently going to get you 8 to 12 points a week.
It's fun to see like the differences in drafting. Dave is much more conservative and I'm much more aggressive. So like, and both, there's nothing right or wrong. It's just you have to do both at some point. You have to have a mixture of taking your shots and taking the safe guy. You
Right.
have to have safe guys and you have to have ceiling plays, or you're not going to win.
Right.
So I mean, it's funny, but I tend to lean a little more on the aggression side. So it's cool. It's interesting. Adam, what do you got on David Njoku?
I like Njoku. I've always been a fan of him as well. Of course, it's like you said, every tight end story they've dealt with injuries, and but there's no denying he's talented, and he did have flashes last year. I think he had some pretty good games. And I agree with you. I do expect Watson to be a lot better than he was in the last 6 games or whatever he ended up playing. Yeah, I think he's probably right where he should be for that ranking. I think he could definitely, the ceiling is there. I like Njoku.
And then Jay, you got anything on Njoku for us?
I'm not either way on him. I'm fine. I think 10 is probably perfect for him.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. All right. So long episode so far. So we're going to get into our top rankings for these tight ends. And we're going to go from 1 to 15 because I think it's going to be a little more interesting later just to see what names we're putting in here. Because the top 6 or 7 are probably going to be pretty consistent.
Ooh, yeah, probably.
Here or there. So I'm pretty sure across the board, number 1, Travis KELCE, right?
Right.
Yep.
Travis KELCE across the board. Okay. Check. All right. So we're going to go number 2 and 3. Jay, what do you got at 2 and 3?
Hawkinson and Kittle.
Hawkinson 2 and Kittle.
Yep.
Okay. Adam, 2 and 3.
I have Kittle and Waller.
Kittle and Waller. Dave. Well, actually, Dave, no, let me go because I'm with Adam. I literally have Kittle and Waller. So me and Adam are together on that one. And Dave, what do you got?
I got Hawkinson 2, Kittle 3.
Fair enough. For me, 4 and 5, I got Hawkinson and Mark Andrews. Mark Andrews, I got down at 5. You can make
I'm gonna go next because I also have Hawkinson and Andrews 4 and 5.
Wow, me and Ed have the same top 5 tight ends. It's probably going to change.
I feel like me and Jay are gonna have the same.
So what do you got, Jay? 4 and 5.
I got Waller and Ingram.
Whoa, Ingram.
Oh,
Okay.
all right.
I like it.
Yeah. And Dave?
I got Waller at 4 and Mark Andrews at 5.
Okay, so we all have. Where did you say Andrews yet, Jay?
No.
Oh my
No,
goodness,
not yet.
we're all low on Andrews. This is interesting. All right,
Yeah.
6 and 7, Jay.
Goddard and then Andrews.
Wow. Okay, cool. I'll go 6 and 7. I got Kyle Pitts and Goddard at 6 and 7. Adam.
So I actually have a guy at 6 that wasn't even mentioned yet. I have Dalton Schultz at 6.
Yep.
Let's go.
I knew it was
Dalton
fucking
Schultz at 6, and the reason being, and I'm just gonna say this real quick. Houston has nobody to throw to, and I think he's a great tight end. And then I have Goddard at 7.
Okay, it's fair. Dalton Schultz, I have in my list too, but not that high. And Dave, where do you got?
I got Dallas Goddard at 6, Evan Ingram 7.
Okay, so we'll go 8, 9, 10. Jay.
Fryermuth, Pitts, and Njoku.
Fryermuth, Pitts, and Njoku. For me, 8, 9, 10. I got Njoku over these other guys just because of his ceiling. I got Njoku 8, Ingram 9, and Fryermuth 10. So, Dave.
I got Fryermuth 8, Kyle Pitts 9,
You're lying. You're just doing that to placate me.
Cole Kmet 10.
Pokemon 10. Okay.
Okay.
I do have Cole Kmet 10. And I think it's a risky play. And where this is kind of going back to, how you draft. I think this late in your tight end rankings, you're almost throwing a dart. And I think Cole Kmet is a guy that we saw at the end of the year. Justin Fields, you can say he's a crap quarterback, but he did kind of figure something out a little bit at the end of the year, and Cole Kmet was a viable fantasy option. And I think if they continue into that, at least, a little bit, Cole Kmet will be a viable fantasy option. So I'm throwing a dart at Cole Kmet here.
All right, Adam, you're left for
my 8, 9, and 10. I have Ingram, Pitts, Fryermuth.
okay. And then Jay, you already went 8, 9, 10, right?
Yep.
Okay. All right. So now we're going to get into the second half here. A lot of these players we haven't talked about. We can give it a little quick synopsis. I had at 11 and 12, and I had Dalton and Dalton. 11 is Dalton Schultz, and I'm putting Dalton Kincaid at 12. Why not? You're taking crap shoots here at this point. Why not get the first tight end off the board that went to one of the best quarterbacks in the league that desperately needs an outlet and a second option? So Dalton Schultz 11, Dalton Kincaid 12 for me. For me, Kincaid is a starting option right off the rip, and if he's not good, whatever, drop him and pick somebody else up. All right. So Adam.
My 11 is Njoku. My 12 is Kmet. I liked Kmet at the end of the season last year. I think Fields used him a lot. I think he finished top 10 anyway. I think he was like tight end 8 last year, if I remember correctly. So 12 is fair for me.
All right, Jay, what you got?
At 11, I got Schultz, and 12, I got Kmet.
Okay, so we guys have got Kmet a little higher than me, obviously, and all of you. And Dave, what do you got for 11, 12?
11 got Dalton Schultz. 12 I got Njoku.
Okay, so I'm the only one that put Kincaid in the top 12, but that it's risky. But here's the thing, because my 13, 14, and 15, if I'm taking Kincaid at 12, 13, 14, 15, I feel if I got to drop Schultz, if I got to drop Kincaid, I can start one of these guys at 13. A guy that everyone's forgetting that had actually a really good year last year, who I think's quarterback is going to take a step up this year. I got Greg Dulcich at number 13, and I got Cole Kmet at 14. And you know what? Who knows? Because we need all the help we can get. I got Dawson Knox at 15. So got them both up there.
Okay, Homer.
One of them's going to hit.
I'll go next because I have Dulcich at 13. I just love the Sean Payton head coach now. He loves tight ends. He's got a really good system for tight ends, and I think Dulcich can take a step forward. And he had a pretty decent season last year. My 13, I have Dawson Knox / Dalton Kincaid. Not saying that they're going to be equal, but if the Bills go to their tight end, I'm hoping that it's one of the two. So I'd be okay with either one of those guys. And then my 15, I have kind of a managed crush on Hayden Hurst. I have Hayden Hurst as my 15, and he went to Carolina, and they have a rookie quarterback, and I hope that they use him a lot.
Did you do yours yet, Jay?
No.
All right, 13, 14, 15.
All right. Everett, Juwan Johnson, and Higbee.
You like Everett. Juwan Johnson could be a good one. And then Higbee's had success before, and nothing's changed for him. So Higbee, I think, is a little slept on. Dave, what are your 13, 14?
13, I got Dalton Kincaid. Like we talked about in a 12-man league, that's the first backup taken. So if you're gonna take a home run swing, might as well. 14, I got Tyler Higbee, actually. 108 targets. I still think he's a viable fantasy option. And 15, Juwan Johnson, sneaky good.
Sneaky good. You're right. If you guys want, just throw one more like dart throw at the end here. I'm gonna throw one in here who I didn't listen to my top 15, but a guy who I think could maybe light on fire, all the talent in the world, great offense, and I'm going with Irv Smith.
You son of a bitch.
Yeah,
I was gonna say the same thing. I have Irv Smith actually kind of.
All right.
I almost put him in my top 15. I really did, and I wanted to, but I went with Hurst instead because I liked Hurst over him, but I love Irv Smith in Cincinnati. So
do I.
Fair enough.
completely agree.
Dave, you got a shot in the dark.
I mean, Irv Smith was my kind of sleeper.
That's fair. That's good. That's good.
Yeah.
We can all have a consensus on it. I mean,
Yeah.
guy's an athletic freak, but guess what, Adam? What has he had problems with his whole career?
Injuries.
But I mean, that's the name of the game, I guess. When it comes, right?
Tight ends, I don't know. Maybe it's just the position that they play because they block and go catch passes. They just get hurt a lot. I don't know if that has anything to do with it, but I mean, wide receivers block, sorta.
No,
Sort of.
But not
anymore.
like tight ends though. Not like tight ends though.
Not anymore.
So I think
Yeah.
that has a lot to do with it. Probably
Travis
if you're a
Kelce-
blocking tight end,
Travis Kelce doesn't fucking block, and guy's pretty
right?
healthy.
And that's why he doesn't get hurt.
Travis
That's what I'm
Kelce
saying.
is
I
too
guess
busy
that could be the
holding
correlation
everyone. That's
between
why.
why tight ends get hurt all the time. Is that when they go into block, they get hammered.
You don't have to
twist an
block when you're
ankle,
holding.
yeah.
Jay's
Right.
throwing shade over here at Travis Kelce, saying he's a holder.
Oh, we know it's true.
Sure.
We will well, that's it. So next week's episode, guys, I have to look it up real quick. So to see what it is, so to give everyone their homework, because we're just sticking in order, but it's going to be another rankings show. And just give me 1 second, y'all at home. I know this is great radio. All right, so next week we are going up to the quarterbacks.
Let's go.
We're doing quarterback rankings next week. So what do you guys want to do? 20 quarterbacks?
Yeah, that's probably fine.
20?
Yeah.
Yeah, 20 is probably fine.
Well, we'll rank our 20 and we'll see how many we talk about like what we did today. But then we'll rank our 20. So Dave, actually, I haven't done it to you guys in a long time. But if you want, Dave, you want to pick the song of the week? These guys are gonna get mad because they haven't picked one in a while. But Dave's been
I'm totally okay with not picking a
Last
song,
few
so
weeks.
I don't get mad at all.
I get to pick the song for the week.
Yeah, you want to pick the song of the week?
Oh no, does it have to be a good song?
I mean,
You
that's
can
all
pick
I-
whatever you want.
This is
you don't-
interesting.
You don't
This
gotta
is-
feel. You don't gotta feel the pressure that I play a lot of heavy metal. I mean, if you want to come out with something, I mean, Adam's picked country, and then I fired him from the show.
I want to pick something that I think not a lot of people have probably heard. Go with a band called the Silver Sun Pickups, the Royal We.
Silver Sun Pickups, the Royal We,
The Royal We.
like the video game system.
No, just we like WE.
The Royal Weed.
The Royal We. It sounds crazy, but I'm telling you, if you guys have never heard, if you guys like some really like indie kind of style rock, you're gonna dig the Silver Sun Pickups. They're sick. So
Okay, we got it. So your song of the week, guys, is the Silver Sun Pickups with Royal We, the video game system. Dave, thank you for joining us, and thank you for picking the song of the week.
thank you for having me, brother. It's always good to be on. Thank you guys. Really appreciate it.
You're always welcome to join us for next.
Absolutely.
We already told you you're a fantasy football bro. Give a shout out to Let's Talk Nerdy.
If you guys haven't checked out the Let's Talk Nerdy podcast, please check that out. We do podcasts I do with my buddy. We talk about comics, games, all types of nerdy stuff. Let's Talk Nerdy podcast on all platforms, and check out the YouTube. Super appreciate you guys. Thank you.
Thank you, Dave. Adam, thank you as always for joining us. Nice spirited debate over tight ends. We didn't get in a fist fight or anything.
No, we were fine.
That's why we're in separate rooms today,
I
guys.
know. Yeah, pretty much. Tight ends get pretty heated.
We knew this would happen. Jay, as always, thank you for joining us.
Yep, no problem.
All right, guys. Quarterbacks next week. Until then, we'll see you next time. Peace.
Later, guys.
Later, guys.
Check out the link below for the how to donate for Dallas Goddard and Kyle Pitts jerseys.
All right.
You are now listening to the Fantasy Football Bros Podcast.